Hey everybody, I'm excited to go over your Myers-Briggs type indicator. Last time we were looking at interests for the strong interest inventory, and now we're switching gears and looking a little bit more at your personality style. So let's talk a little bit about what the Myers-Briggs or the MBTI assessment is. It's a personality inventory that has been used all over the world by hundreds of thousands of people. It was created by Catherine Briggs and Isabel Briggs Myers, and it's based on the psychological theory of Carl Jung, who's one of the granddaddies in the psychological movement. So, Myers-Briggs is looking at your personality style on 4 different scales. So on each of these 4 scales, you'll kind of be saying, am I more like this side or that side of the scale? Knowing that all of us can be a little bit of both, but one side tends to be a little bit more of our comfort zone. So these 4 scales on the MBTI look at where you get your energy, how you take in information about the world around you, how you use that information to make decisions, and then your personal style for organizing your life. So these are each of the scales, and there will be things about both of the options in each scale that you'll think, yeah, that'll sound a bit like me. But in general, one tends to be a little more comfortable for you. So everybody, when they take the MBTI, gets an MBTI type, which is a 4-letter code based on how you responded on the day you took the assessment. So there are 16 possible personality types that you can be, and when the assessment looked at which one of those 16 most fits you. So all of the types on the MBTI are valuable. There's no such thing as a good type or a bad type. Each of the types has some pros and some cons to it, but the basic idea is we need all of these personality styles to make our world work. The MBTI doesn't measure things like skills or abilities, IQ, your mental health. It's not even going to tell you your one perfect occupation. However, we will see that certain personality styles will self-select into different occupations at higher than average rates. So you're going to see what sorts of occupations your personality type tends to go into. A brief history about the Myers-Briggs. Back in the 1920s, Catherine Briggs and Isabel Briggs Myers were kind of a mother-daughter amateur sociologist team, and they were fascinated by how people had different personalities, how people had conflict, and they started doing a lot of people watching. And they organized their ideas into these different personality categories. And then they ran across Carl Jung's book, Psychological Types, and started to realize that his theory was matching what they were seeing. So they created the MBTI to really help people go into certain occupations and to help people manage conflict in their life. The assessment really took off right around 1940s, 1950s, post-World War II, and it was helping people returning from the war select occupations. So some basic ideas on the MBTI. Your type is just a summary of how you move through the world. And MBTI is based on this idea that we have inborn preferences, things that we just naturally prefer for our personality, and that things in our environment can cause our personality type to flourish or to modify, but we still have this inner compass that just feels most comfortable for us. It doesn't mean that we can't use the opposite type at certain times, but our score is just how consistently we chose one style over the other. So what's in it for you besides a grade? Most people find that once they understand type theory, their relationships improve, whether that's personal, professional, academic. You just know how to interact with people a little bit better. It can help you, as I've already mentioned, find good fit occupations. It can even improve your grade point average, because once you know how to type people, you will be able to type some of your instructors. And if you can write papers based on their type, their personality style, I've had students tell me their grades tend to go up. So when we go through each of the scales, I think it would be helpful for you to consider people that you know and see, who does this sound like? So we know that people want to be in jobs where they can express their unique personality and where they can really get the types of rewards that they like. And that's what we'll be looking at for Myers-Briggs. So a brief example I like to give. How long does it take you to sign your signature when you sign with your dominant hand? For most of us, it's pretty quick. But what happens if, let's say, you break your dominant arm and you have to learn how to write with your opposite arm? For most of us, we can do it, but it's going to be a little messy and it's not going to feel as comfortable. I want you to consider this when we look at each of the scales. So just because I'm naturally born right-handed doesn't mean that I never use my left hand, right? It's not just flopping around, it helps me. And if something happened to my dominant hand, I could use my other hand as needed. So all of these personality types are things that you could use, but it's just our degree of where our comfort zone is. So with that, let's look at each of the scales.